Welcome back to Sim Sunday and another video in our Bucket and Spade series, where I felt that the series of flights to holiday destinations would never be complete without a trip across the Pacific Ocean to the Hawaiian Islands, and that is where we're off to today. On board the Aerosoft Airbus A321 Professional in prepared 3D version 4.5 in the livery of Hawaiian Airlines. However, we're not heading off to Honolulu. We're actually heading to Maui, and we're doing it from here in San Diego, California. Getting right into Sim Brief, with a very short taxi to runway 09, we'll be departing in an easterly direction with a left-hand turn shortly after takeoff, initially routing on a northwesterly direction towards Catalina Island before turning southwest to make our Pacific crossing towards the Hawaiian Islands and of course Maui, where I'm expecting at this stage an ILS approach into runway 02. And our alternate for this flight is of course Honolulu, the base of Hawaiian Airlines.
Hawaiian 37 is cleared at Maui Airport as filed. Fly runway heading, climb and maintain altitude 10,000. Departure frequency is 127.3, squawk 1402.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted. Release parking brakes. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will. Set parking brakes. Unlocking gear. Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
Hawaiian 37, taxi holding point for runway 9 via taxiway Alpha Bravo Bravo 10. Contact tower on 118.3 when ready. 37. San Diego via taxiway Bravo Bravo 10. Contact tower on 118.3.
It's going to be a very short taxi to runway 09. However, as usual, it's time to tell you about the scenery that I've got installed and prepared 3D version 4.5 for this flight. Everything that you're going to see in this flight comes from Orbx. We're currently in KSAN San Diego International Airport, and it's being provided by Orbx. And when we get over to Hawaii, you're going to see Hawaiian Island series, also from Orbx. I can't remember which one Maui is in, but as you probably are aware, Orbx offer 3 packages for Hawaii, including Honolulu and 2 airport packs. One of them includes Maui. I'm just not sure which one. Right, following this Delta Airbus, it's time for me to prepare for departure. And of course that means switching on the TCAS, followed by the weather radar, and finally the landing lights, meaning that we're ready to go as soon as ATC gives us permission.
Contact SoCal, departure on 127.3. Hawaiian 37 cleared for takeoff. Runway 9 or service wind 128.6. Stop Airbus on runway. American 1367 flying up and wait runway 9 or. Flying up and wait American 1367.
not believe me, but a few years ago, San Diego KSAN was listed as one of the top 10 most dangerous airports in the world. And it was all down to a multi-storey car park, a parking garage, right at the end of the approach to runway 09 at this airport. It's been over 30 years since I've been in San Diego, but I do remember it being a really beautiful city with a fantastic zoo, and one of the very few cities on the west coast of the United States with a decent public transport network with the tram system. During 2020 and 2021, these Airbus A321s have been the backbone of Hawaiian service throughout the pandemic, struggling to fill their Airbus A330s. Hawaiian Airlines have been using their brand new Airbus A321s on many of the routes that were served by A330s prior to the pandemic, and therefore the global decline in air travel. Right as we continue westbound towards our climb over the Pacific Ocean, it's time for me to turn the cameras off, and I'll be back as we start our descent into Maui.
I have some drink for you, Captain. Here you are.
'The last time I visited Hawaii was in November 2007, and I travelled there from Vancouver in British Columbia on board an Air Canada Boeing 767-200 known as the Pacific Flyer. This had been part of a Star Alliance round the world ticket, and I travelled on to Sydney a few days later. I always felt that Hawaii was to the Americans what Tenerife or Gran Canaria is to the Europeans. Just as the Canary Islands are gorgeous volcanic islands in the Atlantic, the Hawaiian Islands are absolutely beautiful islands in the Pacific. And one interesting fact for me is that Hawaii is the only US state where the Union flag is part of the state flag. And of course, when I talk about the Union flag, I'm talking what is known in maritime terms as the Union Jack, the flag of the United Kingdom. Anyway, back to our virtual flight into Maui. As I expected, we're being vectored towards runway 02, or should I say ILS runway 02. So as I follow the published approach in the MFD, it's time for me to shut up and get this Airbus A321 of Hawaiian Airlines on the ground.
$1,000. $500. $400. $300. $200. $100. 50, 40, 30, 20, retard.
Welcome to Maui, not one of my best landings, I'll give you that. There was quite a bit of a crosswind, and this was the first flight that I made after a complete PC rebuild, including a complete reinstall of prepared 3D version 4.5 that took more than 2 elapsed days. So it will no doubt take me another couple of weeks to get the settings for prepared exactly the way I like them. Anyway, excuses over, it's time to bring another episode of Sim Sunday to an end. And I hope you've enjoyed this look at a virtual flight on board the Aerosoft Airbus A321 Professional in the livery of Hawaiian Airlines. And as I pick a gate, any gate, all that remains for me to say, wherever you're flying in your virtual world, don't forget to fly safe.
Thank you. Goodbye.